This book is called Highways to Happiness, and it's one that I've got in my library. It's just a book of some stories that have some spiritual application given to them. And I want to read to you from chapter 16. C.L. Paddock is the author of this book, and chapter 16 is called In Time of Storm. I'll read to you a little bit from this chapter and then talk a little about the scriptures and some points we can draw from it. There was a storm in the offing as we started on a journey of about 150 miles by car. It had been a hot, sultry day, and we expected some unusual weather, but because all the members of our family like to ride in a car when it's raining, we started for home in spite of heavy clouds, lightning, and thunder. The rain came, and more of a storm than we expected. Electricity played across the black, murky sky as the wind blew at almost hurricane velocity. Telephone and power lines went down as trees and limbs of trees fell across them. To get home, we had to detour around the fallen trees blocking the roads. It was a most unusual experience. One thing that impressed me was the fact that nearly every tree that fell in the wind was hollow, rotten at the heart, or had some other defect. It would be interesting to know just how long they had been decaying and rotting before they actually fell, and how the deterioration had begun. To the casual observer, most of those trees were quite normal, but when the storm struck, some of them went down. In a group of trees, perhaps one would fall while the rest stood erect and unharmed. I moralized a bit as we drove along. You know about what I thought. Characters are somewhat like trees. They do not collapse unless there are weaknesses within. A temptation comes to a group, and while one falls, the others resist and are stronger for the test. Although the collapse comes suddenly, unexpectedly to outward observers, sin may have been working in that life for months and years. There were times of letting down, sidestepping, traveling into forbidden territory, and yielding to temptation. From here, my thoughts go in a couple of different directions, thinking about the way that people collapse when the storms of life come and why that is that we collapse. First, as a Christian, I must continue considering how to imitate God's character. I have to keep on working and letting God work from the inside to shape my outside, my behaviors and my treatment of other people. In Matthew chapter 23, verses 25 through 26, Jesus talked to the Pharisees, pronouncing a woe on them. And he said, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you clean the outside of the cup and of the dish, but inside they are full of robbery and self-indulgence. You blind Pharisee, first clean the inside of the cup and of the dish, so that the outside of it may become clean also." Jesus was telling them about the process of sanctification, of being cleaned from the inside and then letting the inside change the outside naturally. That's what happens whenever you change the inside of yourself and you let God change you from the inside. Your character goes with you everywhere you are, and your natural inclinations begin to shift and become more what God wants from you. And then your behaviors in every situation begin to be affected by that. They start to change. And so if I'm to withstand the storms of life, my holiness needs to be more than an empty shell. It needs to be something solid from the inside that then reaches and grows to the outside naturally. Second, God is the only constant fixture in life. He's the only one that will never fail and never topple. And I'm thinking especially that everyone and everything else is going to fall at some point. People have weaknesses. People have shortcomings. And if I build my life around someone or something other than God, at some point the storm will topple me like those rotted trees, because what was inside me, what I built my life around, is going to fail. If it's a physical possession, that possession can be taken away. If it's a person can die. A person can simply change who they decide to be, and then what am I built around if I've been built around them? Everything about me at that point becomes sort of drifting. There's nothing stationary holding it in place, no anchor. But if I've built my life around God, then stability and strength is always there, because God is the only one who never changes. He's always constant, always the same. In Revelation chapter 22, verse 13, we're told that He is the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. In every place and time, God is. And God is the same in every place and every time. He is the only dependable fixture around which every life may be built. So make God the center of your life, and continue letting Him change your character to match His own. Then you will enjoy stability, strength, and the ability to withstand the storms of life, no matter how terrible and great they may be. And along the way, you're going to influence other people to do the same thing. That is, to make God the center of their life and enjoy that strength and stability that you've found. And for them and for you, it will be an eternal blessing.